State your name for the record, please.
Isabel.
And where were you born, Miss Isabel?
Technically, or like grew up.
Both.
Richmond, Kentucky, but I grew up in Berea.
Ah, okay. You like Berea? You like Berea?
Yeah. I like small towns. I like community, so I like when people know each other. I'd rather live in a small town than in a city.
Why?
Because I like when people know each other. I like the idea of community. I like the idea of the whole, like, it takes a village. I think that that's an art that we lost. So growing up, I live in a valley. So the oldest people there have never seen a tornado, and I'm terrified of tornadoes, so lucky me. But yeah, I mean, when I grew up, we used to get milk from a cow. The cow's name was Kroger, so we can say we got milk from Kroger. But, you just go in, and it's just based on trust. You go take a jug and leave your money.
Wow.
That was everybody's connected. You know each other's business, not in a bad way, just in a family way. So I prefer small towns because a lot of people will just treat others like family instead of like a stranger and acquaintance. And I'm big on hospitality, so that kind of is a part of it.
Interesting. I feel like I've been a pessimist, and you're just either an anomaly or I've been a pessimist is my thought right now. But
Oh no, I was super pessimistic, and I was really depressed when I was like a young teen. So that's part of what makes me the way that I am is I spend a lot of time alone, so I just thought about a lot of stuff, and I also have always liked talking to people, so I would just talk things out.
Okay. Wow. This was a great introduction. Well, so welcome to If I May Radio. I'm your host. I don't know what I'll go by, but we'll figure something out. And today we have Isabel calling in from Berea, Kentucky. So Isabel, our subject matter currently is change.
Okay.
And so I want you to share a story about a time in your life where you had to change something and what you had to change. And my what I'm using as a basis for this is Gil Scott-Heron's song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." And so I want you to hopefully touch on the ways in which the change wasn't seen, or even the time where the change hadn't been seen yet.
Depends on the change.
True.
Well, I mean, I've had to change my view on myself a lot and the way that I respond to people. So I was like super insecure, so I would make a lot of self-deprecating jokes. And then a friend of mine, I mean, like, I wasn't really, we weren't like close or anything, but she was like, girl, no one's gonna want to be your friend if you keep, you know, hating on yourself all the time. She was like, it's a little exhausting. So I was like, you're not wrong. So I just, you know, tried. And I don't think that I was ever super noticeable. It's not like I became like some big social butterfly. But it was kind of odd because people were a little less tired of me. Because I wasn't like hitting on myself all the time. Which is exhausting to do that, you know, on your own anyway.
Me following you with this camera was hilarious just then. But go ahead.
Not necessarily that it was noticed, but I mean, I did a lot of like personal change during quarantine, which I think a lot of people did. But I had like struggled weight-wise, and I spent that year kind of falling into old habits, and then the year after that, quietly fixing my relationship with food and everything.
Question.
That's wild. That's wild. I was 17. It's weird to like think about those things and recognize that maybe your things you think are healthy or you just being used, like not actually healthy, but not in a broad healthy term, like emotionally healthy. actually hurting yourself instead of caring for yourself, and your outlook might not be that. It's wild.
That is, I wasn't expecting that. Really sorry you had to go through that.
That's what makes me me. And I don't know. I'm not really like. I like to be more open about things because I like conversations, so it doesn't bother me to talk about that at all.
What was like a challenge you ran into?
Not blaming myself if I had a bad day.
That's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I wasn't evil or a bad person, like relearning things that like you think you're like, oh, that's common knowledge. It's not. Especially 'cause, like, I think I got on social media too early, and that just really messes with you. Especially as like a young girl. But I don't blame my parents for any of that. They didn't know.
I don't think anybody knew.
No. And I mean, I was young, and they had to wonder about like, oh, my kids are into this social media. What does that mean for them? Like, kind of the first kids to get involved in it. So
There was no research to tell us what was about to happen.
they didn't know what was going on.
I'm sure somebody tried to warn somebody, but we didn't know. So,
I think it's something that a lot of people, when it comes to change, what they're not ready for is you have to actually be honest with yourself. So, a hard mental thing is like, I've always been like, oh, I'm so like honest and I'm so, real with myself. But then like, you have to hold yourself accountable for things and not like justify all your actions, because sometimes they're not justifiable. Sometimes you're just a jerk.
yeah.